denim is in demand at Plato's Closet in West Ashley and North Charleston. Get cash on the spot for everything denim. Bring in your trendy and classic styles of gently used name brand denim. Get paid for your denim shorts, skirts, jackets, jeans, and more. We're looking for denim that is blue, black, or a bold color, and jeans in styles like mom jeans, bootcut, baggy, flared, and ripped. We want everything denim. Sell your denim for cash at Plato's Closet today. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.
Hashtag no music, no intro. A Monday episode that was not really planned and not just a normal Monday episode. We have the future Time Lord himself, Sports Illustrated, John Hendrix, coming on the Saints Block Party podcast. I feel like I feel bad because I don't know why this hasn't happened sooner. But much love to John. It was great meeting John and chopping it up with him last year in Mobile at the Senior Bowl.
Hell yeah.
Just a super cool dude. If you ever want to know what's going to happen in the Saints game as it's happening, might want to be careful of following John on Twitter. But I also just want to, it just hit me. I was thinking about this earlier when this all got booked. I was like, man, I had John blocked for the longest time, for number of years.
Really?
And I could not to this day. To this day. If you ask me why, I couldn't tell you why.
I mean, he's been on the Saints Twitter streets forever, man.
I know.
It's been a minute.
You know how I am, Wolf, bro. I read the wrong tweet on the wrong
day. Out of here.
But that's my bad, John. But thanks for coming on. Man. I really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it. And I'm sorry I ruined your games if anybody's tuning in. So it shows how much the streaming is. Some people say man, at least I know I don't have to have much anxiety. Some people say I can bet now or I can make some bets and win some bets because I know what's happening in the future. So I don't know.
Sometimes if it's like a challenge or something, I just can't wait. I'm like, man, I'm gonna see what John say. I know he right there in the future.
Pretend you're clairvoyant. Yeah, pretend you're clairvoyant.
Yeah. No, man, it's good. It's good having you on, especially after I feel like I know it was yesterday, but it feels like the game wasn't yesterday for some reason. Right. But the Saints get. I tweeted to me yesterday felt like such an impressive win against a tough Titans team. They were able to squeak out the win. I think it just goes to we've heard from Ross, we've seen from your tweets, just the feel this team felt different in training camp. Something was different about this team, right? To see them kind of capitalize, get the win, to kind of maybe there's something to that. Kind of shows that there is at least starting off. Being that you were at the game, you've been with the team since training camp. What's the general overall vibe you have for what the state is of the Saints right now?
Well, I mean, I've been saying this. It's the best vibes in the locker room I've had in years, right? And it's everybody, not just the vets. It's the rookies. It's the guys in the second year, the third year, all of them. I mean, it feels like a well-oiled machine charging ahead for one particular goal. And so I think a lot of this had to do with Derek Carr. Dennis Allen's a lot more comfortable. I mean, it's visible, right? He feels like he knows a little bit more about what he's doing, but it's all the players, right? And I mean, I think Derek Carr is a big part of that. But, one of the things he said was, when he was scouting it, this kind of goes back to the Pro Bowl because he asked DeMario and Cam about New Orleans at the Pro Bowl, actually. And so it's just one of those things where try to get a sense, a vibe. And Derek never came in here to try to take over anything. But look, he said it's perfectly in unison, trying to unite for the one goal as far as the leaders in this building. But man, it's just, talking to players, just how happy they are. And I get it. It's the beginning of the season, but last year, a little bit off because it was a lot of change, especially because Jameis got hurt. And that was kind of you could see kind of the air fall out and stuff like that. The wind got knocked out of the sails. And then the year before that was COVID and Sean. I mean, it was just, you try. I mean, when you got Trevor Siemian starting games for you and Ian Book, I mean, they're not too much optimism to have, but dark days. But man, just every player I've talked to in that locker room, you just see how rejuvenated. And Carr too. I mean, he's super rejuvenated. I mean, it's just an unreal level of how competitive he is and just how excited he is to be here. And even guys like Colin Saunders or Nathan Shepard, Lonnie Johnson Jr., all these guys that they brought in, it's not just the rookies, these free agents, man, they all
bought in, man. Yeah.
Bought in.
Yes.
And I'm like you mentioned Derek Carr, I saw that Saints put out like a little video today of him coming out the tunnel. And that, I mean, it was fire. I was like, damn, that's hot.
Yeah.
But I just imagine being Derek Carr. I mean, you got thrown away, like pretty much thrown away last year by the Raiders, shipped out.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't imagine the feeling of him coming in, the city's embracing him, the team's embracing him, everybody's ready for him to perform, and then boom, you playing football yesterday, bro, like real live action football. And it didn't start off perfect. It kind of did start off perfect. He hit the big shot to Michael Thomas.
Right.
Drive was looking good, kind of stumbled, 3 points. Offense slowed up. He was getting beat up, pressured, hit. Trevor Penny was struggling. But then as the game went along, got to the second half, they were able to figure some things out. And really, they put a lot on Derek Carr to win the game. Like, he won the game with his arm at the end of the day with that big throw to Raheem Shaheed.
Nuts, bro.
44 yards on third down. On third and mid.
Cojones.
3rd and 6.
Bro, like, that's just crazy. So, like, did you go to the locker room or, like, what was it like after that? After, from your point of view as the media?
Yeah, look, well, let me say this too. Carr actually said this the other week. He said, in a lot of since he got cut, right, by the Raiders. And it's his first time he's ever he's gotten cut in his career and stuff. And so you're right. The atmosphere, the energy with Jimmy Graham doing the Who Dat chant, all that stuff, it was just electric. I haven't seen the Dome that lit since P.J. Williams picked off Tom Brady to win that game against the Bucs. That's the last time I've seen that kind of energy.
Oh, the Kevin White catch?
Or the Kevin White catch, yeah.
Speaking of dark days,
guys, right? Oh man, but back to the Carr, man. Just the vibes in the locker room, just Carr, just the energy again, just how happy everybody was. Cam just talking about it, and the thing is, it was good, but again, everybody's like, it's one win. We kind of just celebrate this right now in the moment.
Right.
This is far from over. A lot of stuff that still need to clean up, like you talked about the pass rush and pass protection and stuff. As they got Trevor Penning some help. So after that really bad drive, I was actually rewatched the film this evening, and so it was just one of those things where they started to give him a little bit more support. Second half was much better. So I mean, again, he's a young guy, and he's kind of been out there, but everybody remembers Teron Armstead's first outing in 2013. He sucked. I mean, he was not good, but I mean, he was replacing Charles Brown too. Yeah, Greg Hardy ate his lunch. I mean, the Titans, man, they got a tough front, and that's also a 3-4 defense. So it's a 3-4. So it gives you a lot different looks and appreciation for it. But man, it's just locker room guys just happy. I mean, what it happens after the game for those who just don't really know is the players meet. And then if it's a home game, something they've done in the last couple of years is they have all the family that's there for the Saints, whether it's family, friends, wives, kids, all that stuff. Everybody's out on the Superdome after the game on the field. And they kind of have like this little meet party type thing. That's something I never saw really with Sean. This is something Dennis had brought in. So it's just kind of like a family, real inclusive thing. I think that's something DA, like, people just don't know about it. He just really has changed and embraced like this family atmosphere and stuff that, most people just don't see.
Right. Interesting.
Oh, super, super interesting. So this team obviously is going to be measured about how they produce, how they succeed this upcoming season. You brought up the Trevor Penning thing. I think I'll say this. Ryan and I have been notorious in terms of pointing out coaching issues, coaching concerns throughout the last couple of seasons, especially with last season.
Fair.
Right. But I will say that yesterday gave me a little bit of optimism, right? We saw motion, not just used once or twice or here, the motion used very often in that game. The motion that was used for Shaheed to come on that run, that jet action sweep, to end the game with Jamal Williams getting the first down. Like I told Ryan, that was set up because they kept running that play. They fake it, just a dive play, boom, get the first down, win the game. So there saw a lot of things in terms of coaching wise that should give like fans optimism for the upcoming season. What have you kind of heard or seen in the coaching staff that maybe allude to those some improvements? Like just perfect. Pete Carmichael called a 44-yard shot play on 3rd and 6 when the game was like, that was not happening last year. Yeah. Now, maybe some of that was because of who the quarterback was or what have you, but there's no way that a play like that was going to be called last year.
Yeah, look, and the thing is, you talked about it today, but I mean, they knew, DA and Pete were talking to each other, said they know they can't just run the ball and run this clock out. They got to get something aggressive. Derek was talking to Pete. That's what they came up with. They liked the matchup with Rashid and such. And so that was what they were doing, is they were just going to be aggressive on that. And look, even before that, they had all the stuff, the holding call on Keith Kirkwood to set him back in, that negative yardage and stuff. So they were able to overcome all that type of stuff. And so that's even better. And you kind of alluded to some of the things in the motion. One of the things that caught my eye was them motioning Chris Olave into the backfield and then hitting him out of the backfield. I mean, that's something that I think I've seen a lot more, and I saw this in training camp, a lot more of the 2 running back sets, and it makes me happy to know when AK comes back, him and Jamal in that backfield, it's going to be a lot more of that, and this is something they just haven't had over the years. And so I think it's really a tribute to Nicky Pete, I guess, if you want to say, or the mad scientist. I think we saw a little bit more of what we were expecting. He's in the lab a little bit, and so when you got the torch and the talent, it makes it work. But to answer your question on the coaches, look, it's one of those things where DA has been able to pick his people, right? And so he had Brian Nielsen leave. There was some disagreements on philosophy between him and Chris Richard. Sean Payton picked all of the guys like Declan Doyle, Zach Streve. They didn't retain some of the guys, but DA brought in guys that A, he can trust, and B, that knows what they're trying to do. And so I think the additions of Joe Woods has been outstanding for this secondary, the way he's used tactics and such. Look, he's in the booth. He's not on the sidelines. I don't know if you caught on that, something they've done in preseason. No. He's up in the booth doing things. And so it's an interesting little wrinkle that they have. And so and Clancy Barone on the other side, offensive guy. I mean, this guy is really smart. And I mean, just talking to him, he is absolutely smart.
Clancy Barone, you say?
The tight ends coach. Yeah, he's worked with Algie Crumpler in the past, Kyle Rudolph in the past, like when they guys were Pro Bowls, all pros and such. Todd Grantham, they've had this attacking style of defensive line. It's something that I just so excited to see, because they weren't that athletic last year with Onyemata and Tuttle. I mean, they got guys, and Colin Saunders, man, he's 324. That's what he was listed at. But he was playing in 315, 318. Man, this guy can move. Like, he just
that Derrick Henry screen. And he was just saw 9-9. Just I was like, go get him, big guy. Go get him, baby.
Yeah. Man.
But then he got like the fat dude thing where you just reach a limit and you just like
that. He reached his top end speed. And that's about it. It's like, you got to go chase him down, Marcus, or these corners that are fast enough to get Derrick Henry.
Help me.
Yeah, but I think it's just these coaches, really, man. It's a lot more confidence, I think, you see from guys. And I tell you, Joe Woods, I think, has been the best addition, right? I think there's been a lot of them. But what he's done with Marshawn Lattimore in camp has been outstanding. I think guys like Alontae Taylor, like we were really surprised about Bradley Roby. And when them going with Alontae, like, there were some plays against the Titans where if Alontae doesn't make that tackle, that's going for a lot more extra yards. Like that one he got DeAndre Hopkins, one that he got first contact on Derrick Henry, and then everybody came in. I mean, the guy's super underrated, but he's talented as hell, and he's going to go through a little bit of growing pains. You saw a little bit of that, but he's just going to elevate, week after week. But they've made some really good coaching additions, and I think just people are bought in, and they're just absorbing everything, buying in, and just taking it like a sponge.
Yeah, one theory I had about Pete Carmichael, I was like, look, the guy has literally worked with Drew Brees since the Chargers. Like, he came in as an offensive assistant, was in Drew Brees' hip until, 2 years ago, and now he's thrown Andy Dalton and, Jameis Winston. And, look, maybe a better coach could get more out of those guys, but, I think he's somebody that's used to having guys that could, adjust plays at the line of scrimmage, can understand protections, can understand the different coverages and the progressions and this, that, and the other. I think he was so used to that. He was really handcuffed last year with what he tried to do and implement. So I think we're starting to see this season what he really wants to do as an offensive coordinator.
Right.
And, last year, there's the talk about him not really wanting the job. Maybe that's why, you know what I'm saying? So I think this could have invigorated Pete, and we're going to get the best Pete, that mad scientist Pete that we hopefully going to get.
And I'll say this, that one of the things, and again, I wish Jameis would have got a fair shake. I wish the injuries didn't happen. I wish I would have loved to see him go 17 games. But you look at that first throw to Mike, the way Carr fit that in that window, I don't know if another quarterback was going to be able to do it. I just don't know that. And one of the things they loved about Derek, just little nuances of bringing him in, before in the last couple of years, Eric McCoy's been making all the calls and protection at the line. Yeah. Derek Carr does all of that. He has full reign on this offense. He's got the trust, all those things. He can check out of plays he doesn't like. I mean, it's just so much input that he gets, and they love how calm he is under the pressure. Whereas, sometimes Jameis gets a little bit erratic when there's pressure happens and stuff and tries to force a good bit. And so, I mean, Carr doesn't have to be Drew. He doesn't have to be this elite quarterback. But
no.
You saw yesterday, he learned from it. He made some good things, some tough throws. Even the ones that didn't hit, there's things where he stepped up in the pocket, was able to do things. And I think as the season progresses and they get this thing figured out, all those plays are going to hit.
It was just, we brought this up in our live stream. Just having a quarterback that can just make subtle movements on the move and move in the pocket and extend a play a half, 2, 3. Even Drew at his peak, right? It just wasn't really his game. So Derek Carr being able to do that, especially, I think yesterday was a perfect example. You're going against a front. That's probably the toughest front they're going to face all season. That front was formidable. It's a good front, and he was able to make plays off script that it helps the offense. But one of the worries that I came back with yesterday is, and kind of maybe because it was a good front, maybe that was because of it. I feel worried about the run game. And I get it. AK's not there. I don't like the depth chart. Hendrix hurt. He's been hurt. So it was Jamal Williams and Tony Jones Jr. No offense to Tony Jones Jr., but we thought we were rid of Tony Jones. He just keeps coming back. That's for me, as a fan, if this team wants to hit its pinnacle, whatever their pinnacle is, right? 10, 11 wins, NFC South champions in the playoffs, the running game to some degree has to get figured out. And I get a little annoyed that they do our offense is struggling, let's do the break emergency glass and try to use Taysom. What are there things that can be done for the running game to improve and get better, obviously, aside for AK just coming back?
Well, they got to get Kendra back. That hamstring thing, that's a crazy. And that is something I was worried about. I know it was already, Titans were number one run defense last year, and you see why against that one. It was just, they weren't getting a lot of push in it. That was one of the things I said during the game. None. And just, and when they needed it most, Jamal got that. And thankfully he didn't get that fumble because, he got punched out for sure. And so, it's one of those things where it's
thanks, baby.
It is a little bit worse. It is. They know how to pull at the heartstrings, that's for sure, and keep you on the edge of your seat. You just think it's over or something's going to happen. Nah, it's just, if it can, it will. Yet. I've seen too much over this year. Yeah, right. And we ain't even got to the playoffs yet, so that's when it really gets fun. Oh God. But look, I don't. They got to get something better, And look, I know. As far as Kirk Merritt, he was going to be a little bit bigger part of the plan. Tony Jones Jr. was going to be a little bit bigger part of the plan, but they got to get Kendre Miller back. And, it's unfortunate that he's dealt with these injuries right now. Those hamstrings are really tricky. He should be able to go this next week against the Panthers, but, I think that 1-2 punch is going to definitely help him out. But, Taysom, he wasn't really used at all in the first half, and they used him some in the second half. When you're struggling against a front like that, I just don't know if a Taysom is the call for it, because you got to be able to run the football. You got to be able to move the sticks a good bit and such. So, look, I think you're playing the Panthers next week. You got the Packers right behind them. I think you can have a better outing running the football, but, we'll see if they can make those corrections. But I feel better about it, when they can get the film they look at and just be able to execute this next week.
were you able to get a good feel for Taysom Hill just throughout camp as far as like how they intend to use him, or is this going to be kind of, just go as they've been doing, is kind of just break them out when they need a spark on offense or something like that? Because it seemed like he really didn't have a home, on offense this summer, through training camp. Sometimes they had him playing quarterback. He was a tight end. Sometimes they had him, running around. Like, it's like, what are we going to do with this guy? I know I want them to use him. I just know that much because the dude averaged like 6 yards per carry in the run game. You know what I'm saying? Like, use the guy.
Yeah, I mean, and so that's interesting you bring it up because I think there's a couple of things, right? And so he also said, he told us before, he's like, when I show up to camp, I don't know what position I'm playing, right? And so that's kind of the things of what happened. He might be in the tight ends one day. He might be with the quarterbacks one day. It just depends. And so with Taysom, look, it's just also one of those things, too. He's coming off that oblique strain, and which took him out took him out a lot longer because originally DA said it was only going to be like 1 to 2 days and it ended up being well over a week and such. So I think that might play a little bit into it. He was playing special teams, but and I was even looking at it last year. I mean, when he plays 20 snaps or more, I mean, the Saints had a 6-2 record last season. And so I think they're going to get the Taysom train going. And something I caught wind of back at the combine is that they said they had a better understanding of how to use him. I don't think that's something that we're going to see early on, but hopefully as it progresses and goes down the line, I think there are some wrinkles to have with Taysom Hill in the lineup. But look, it was far from a perfect product on offense, but still it was ended up being their best offensive performance since they played the Raiders last year on October 30th. That was the most yards they have netted since that game last year. It's crazy.
We just gotta go to every game now, apparently, or something. I will say, like, if you just go back and you read the stats for like Olave and Rashid Shaheed, I was kind of blown away that they put up such big numbers because, like, watching the game, it didn't feel like Chris Olave had like eight for like 112. Shaheed, like, it didn't feel like that. But I think that's a credit to more like the Titans defense. Something that bugs me, and I don't think it's a Saints thing. I don't think it's like a DA thing. It's just an NFL head coach thing. Brian Bresee, 25 snaps yesterday. Once he started getting in the game, and there were other components to it, it felt like the Titans run game took a step back of how they were kind of dominating up front for a bit. What is there's just like, let's go with like the vets and like get the rookies in slowly. Like, I would rather see A.T. Perry instead of Keith Kirkwood on game day. Do you feel like Breeze's snaps usage is going to increase, and maybe there'll be more looks for A.T. Perry in the future as the season goes on?
Yeah, I think for starters, I mean, AT's got to work on some elements of his game. He's got to get better in blocking. That's the first thing I'd tell you on that one. And so he can catch the ball. He had some ups and downs for sure. Let's not talk about Traquan, I guess. Oh, man. Traquan. That's the weirdest, oddest thing. I don't know what is going on there. I mean, it's crazy. This dude was crazy how healthy he was, and then all of a sudden he just gets hurt again. I was like, oh, my God. What are the odds?
Quan going Quan.
Quan going Quan, baby.
Yeah. Just like the Vikings finding out about Marcus Davenport, too. You know what I mean? Like the Oh, man.
That was like a highlight for me yesterday, bro.
That was crazy, man.
Yes.
Absolutely crazy. Popped up late on the injury report, and then he's out with the ankle. It's tough. Don't miss to see it. Yeah. And so I think AT is going to get he's going to take some refinement. And same thing with Isaiah Foskey, too. I mean, he's very talented, and that's what sucks about losing Peyton Turner is guy worked his ass off, right? And he ended up getting into the scheme of things. He was there for the full offseason, turf toe. Now you're probably not going to see him until week 13, week 14. But look, with the Saints, the way they run that line, it's Saunders and Shepard. And again, they like their abilities for sure. And I think they're a lot more athletic. I know they're a lot more athletic for sure than the other two they had. But Bresee is a guy that they like to use on this pass rush situations, especially because they can use him all over on the line and such. But you saw how much penetration and pressure he can get. I mean, he was there on the backfield. Like, the guy is a beast. And I think Malcolm Roach is another guy. Like, this is a very underrated defensive interior. But Let me tell you, that was one of my concerns going into, like, training camp. But, look, I got made a believer really quick. And then it's like, after all that, I was like, okay, I'm just worried about the offensive line because I saw what I need to see at linebacker, saw what I need to see from the interior defensive line. But I think Brisset is a guy that you're going to just have to start feeding him a little bit more. I don't know if I get wrapped up too much in the snap counts, but you see how much his ability is to affect the game.
Yeah, he jumps off on the screen,
half
man.
Sack. He's just got an insane raw power. And again, he was a guy that medical concerns coming out of college, man. But look, you see the talent and the promise. This is one of the ones. Please just stay healthy because if he does, the Saints hit a home run with this guy.
Right. And, man, I got to talk about who we call Big Creep, Carl Granderson. I mean, was it just the Titans' bad offensive line, or
Andre Dillard,
or is it Carl Granderson actually looking like a starting pass rusher in this league, bro? Like, he was looking good yesterday.
Yeah, he's somebody I talked about. Yeah, I talked about him all training camp. Like, he was just one of those guys that stood out and made things every day. And I get it. You were going against, your own competition and stuff, but he slimmed down. He's playing right now at about 287. He improved his run defense a ton. That was his biggest thing. And look, last year he was taking snaps from Marcus Davenport. But look, he's got a refined pass rush ability. He's very quick, deceptively quick, I guess is the way I best put him. And, of course, he's in a contract year, so that also helps as well. But, look, he's just a quiet guy that comes in and does what he needs to do, and he's only improved and such. And so I always felt like he was going to be the guy to start opposite of Cam, but it was nothing that was given to him because you had Peyton Turner that was playing well as well. But, I think he's legitimately the real deal. And so he led the way in sacks yesterday in 1.5. I think he's in for a pretty strong season myself. And I think that's legitimately the guy that you're expecting to give it to you for a full 17 games. But, of course, you got to play the games. I think some of these other offensive lines, because you got to remember the Titans had a lot of moving parts and pieces on their offensive line. Yes. So they're going to have to figure things out as well. But, man, just the way they were able to just it's just a vicious interior rush, a vicious outside attack. It's just stunts, whether you're pushing. I mean, they were getting a lot of penetration on that offensive line. So it's like that's grown man stuff, right? And so I think a lot of those guys are doing those grown man games. I love trench work for sure.
I mean, I'll drop like a little news is that they the Saints really were trying to extend Big Creep leading up to like the first game this week, and now if you're him, it's like, I mean, unless you just want the guaranteed money, it's like why would I take an extension? Like, you bet on yourself. He has a great season, then that price tag goes up. But I know that's something the team was really trying to push for. But just getting away from the Saints, man, I just want to hit John with this question: is that your path to being a beat reporter is just inspiring, right? It was, your path was what I felt like at some point in my life that I wanted to be my path, and I started doing it for a little bit. I was like, nah, this game ain't for me. But your path is inspiring in terms of just being unconventional. So just talk about the grind that you put in on Twitter, on social media to get to where you are now, because I think you are like a really true inspiration for people who are younger and they want to be getting the business and feel like maybe they can't or they don't know how.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. It's very non-traditional. And look, I'm a firm believer in paying it forward, so I love when people reach out, and I don't care how small your show is. I don't mind giving people the time of day, because when I was coming up, people gave me the time of the day, and it meant the world to me. I mean, people that were influential on radio, TV, just taking a chance, I always hold that with me, right? And so it just started because I've always been a football fan. Not to get on this big, violin soapbox or anything like that, but, my fondest memories is growing up as a child was at my grandfather's house. He used to tape all these old Super Bowls. I mean, I'm sitting here watching Super Bowl 20, Chicago Bears beating the crap out of the Patriots, Fridge Perry, Jim McMahon, 70 Super Bowls, the old Steelers, Cowboys, all that kind of stuff, Giants, Broncos, just all of them. And so I always had a love for football. And then, it's just one of those things, following football for the longest time. I tried playing football. It didn't work out. I played hockey for 20 years. So go figure. But But I always loved football. I was always a big nut for football. I was just one of those nerds that, like, if you asked me who was on the 90s roster for this particular team, I probably could spout out 3, 4, 5 people. They're like, here's where they go. That's just how my mind works. Whether it's sick or not, I don't know. Somebody figure that out. But do a case study on it. But we were sitting and watching the Saints game, and I was just rattling stuff off at a bar, and one guy was like, man, you just really got a lot of things to say. It seems like you're pretty knowledgeable. He's like, you ever thought about writing? And I'm like, no, because I didn't go to college for any of this. I just hard work, right? And so I started a Google blog spot, throwback, a long time ago. It was called First and Five. That's how I first started. It was right after the Saints lost to the 49ers in that divisional playoff that crushed everybody, right? That's when I started writing. And so that was the fun thing. Started officially doing it. And so, it was therapy because it was it was mad. Like, it was a bunch. And then all the Bounty Gate stuff happened. So really wild times. And so, look, I started there, was working at a bank, and then the guy was like, I write for Fansided and do Who Dat Dish. And I'm like, all right, well, what the hell? I'll take a chance on it. Went there. Started, just trying to learn a little bit more, do some things, some basic stuff. And then it led to, hey, do you want to co-manage this site? And then eventually, do you want to manage this site? I was there for 3.5 years. It opened up just tons of doors to be on radio and TV. Right. I remember my first interview was Jonathan Vilma at a Morton Steakhouse event. And Jonathan was just like the nicest guy in the world. That was like really the first interview. And so, look, and in doing that, I switched to SB Nation and Canal Street Chronicles. I stayed there 3.5 years. And, that was where things took a little bit more of a turn because, no disrespect, Canal Street Chronicles wasn't a really serious type of blog. And I tried to make it a little bit more serious than normal because, just to be like, hey, we're objective. I want to try to cover this team like somebody would want to be covered and such, still have a little bit of fan in it. Right. But, and so things just kind of grow from there and finally get a little bit of credentials. And honestly, like I got credentialed 1 year to go things. And then the next year they said they can't because they didn't embrace non-traditional media and such. And then it came back full circle in 2017. But, and then I was doing things with them and I got hooked up with SI in December 2019 over at Saints News Network. And man, it's just, I've been doing this full time. This is all I do. I got hooked up with Boot Crew doing video. And the big thing is, man, there's been times where I've admittedly have wanted to hang it up, have thought about, I'm done. I kind of feel like it's as much as I can. And, bottom line is I love what I do. And as soon as it feels like a job, then I'm out. Right. And so I think that's the biggest thing. I'm just waiting for the next big thing. Cause I think the biggest thing I've learned about myself, I don't like stagnation. Like you saw, I was 3.5 years with Fanside, 3.5 years with Do That Dish. I'm like, all right, I'm coming up about 4 years at SI. I'm like, what's next, right? And so, but going through all of that stuff is just totally non-traditional and just coming in, having a really like I came in and just learned, watched, observed. It was not like, hey, I'm trying to pout my chest and say,
man. I watched from a distance. And you work your ass off,
grind it,
just work and grind, man. And that's me.
Yeah, and the good thing about, what we do, I mean, me and Adam, we have day jobs. This is not a full-time career. But the whole content game, putting content out there, you could pretty much go as far as you want. Obviously it's a battle, it's a grind, got a lot of competition and all this stuff. But really it's just about being creative, understanding who you are, understanding the people that you're trying to reach. And like you said, you've built your base just off you grinding how you grind it. So really the sky's the limit for you. And we don't know what that could be. It could be a TV show, it could be radio, it could be podcasts, it could be all of it, but I just know it's the sky like you and Ross. I watch you guys, I'm like, man, they're gonna be around for a long time. Doing what? I don't know, but I just love to see it.
Yeah, me and Ross joke. We're like we like to joke and say we're the minority brothers from another mother, Key and Peele, whatever you would call it. We just love it, man. Like I think there's just something to that too, because I mean, I think there's not enough people from a minority perspective that's represented in NFL media in the landscape, right? And I'm Hispanic, and obviously Ross is African American. We got a lot of guys that do that, and we kind of have a running joke sometimes about where we are and stuff. But look, I think that's part of it is. I do this too because of who I am and just how it is. And, in some aspects, I got a chip on my shoulder a little bit too. And, there's things that just haven't bounced my way. And look, I don't want to say I'm vindictive in some aspects, but man, I remember, and I'm going to show you, you don't want me. I'm going to show you why you messed up.
Make it a list, baby.
It's a little bit short, but look, I know. And so look, that's what fuels me. That's what fuels me, man.
Is this John Hendrix? This is Michael Thomas on the podcast.
I'm like, John, we're going to talk about it. John right here.
One day we're going to talk about it. Like Mike says in the Instagram, we'll talk about it one day.
I take it back. I have seen that part of John on Twitter though. Like when somebody coming his mentions on some bullshit, boy, John, like you could tell he taking his jacket off. Like, hold up, man.
He sounds like, oh, John.
Yeah, I come up like some people. It's like I try to be. I try to be very professional, respectful, all that. But there's just a line you just don't cross, and when you cross that line,
period.
I got to put you back in your place. Like I just don't. I don't take to stupidity, ignorance. People calling and take a shot at my character. Like it was one last year about this Atlanta blog or something saying something about me, and I'm like, man, kiss my ass.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah,
like that one is just like talking about a Derek Carr thing, and I'm like, you don't know shit about me, right? And it's just like, don't do that. Don't do that. You know what I mean? It's like you don't know the first thing about me, and you're gonna sit here and run your mouth, and then let everything speak for itself. But man, it's just I don't try to be that way, as often, but there's just sometimes you have to. Everybody got a dark side of that. Somebody, it's not going to get pushed around.
It's just it's like the social media. Like it's the gift and the curse that comes with social media.
Sure.
Being able to get that interaction. But I'm glad you brought up the lack of minorities, especially like in beat reporting and writing. Like I've always known it, but it was so stark going to the Senior Bowl last year. Was in when they were having like the interviews, the press conferences with Kenny Pickett, and I just looked around the room. I was like, damn, no niggas in here. Like this ain't nothing, bro. Like shit. Like it was, but I'm just saying, like it was eye opening, even though like I knew in my head what it looked like, right? And Ryan and I do this. We do this as a side. I mean, it's a business, so it's not really a side thing. It's a business that we're passionate about and that we do. But we have our primary jobs. So see Ross to do what you guys do is truly an inspiration. The last thing I have for you before we let you go, we don't want to take up too much of your time, but this was impromptu.
Good,
Ryan
enjoying
hit up. What is they've already got one win. They got one win when Ryan and I did the schedule release. We went through the schedule. We had the Titans game as a loss, but when we did the preview episode last week, we said that they were going to win. What is the hype for this team? Like what's the projection? The John Hendrix projection. They already got one W in the bank. Like where do you see this team ending?
Yeah, I picked him to win this week, too. I said 27-21 or 24-21. That was kind of where I felt like it, and I didn't think it was going to be a high-scoring game. For me, I went 11-6. I think 11-6 is probably the sweet spot. I think the ceiling can be more like 13-4, just because of who they play. I think just because of the rookie quarterbacks. Now, I know people are like, wait a second. RG3 in the dome in 2012, this quarterback that was I understand that, but I think this defense is built and equipped to handle these running quarterbacks. I think you're going to see things why they got more athletic on the outside or why they got more athletic in the interior as big reasons to shut down some of these dual threat quarterbacks they might face or some other things like that. And so, look, this division, I mean, let's call it for what it is. It sucks. I mean, I was surprised to see the Bucs win. I was surprised to see Atlanta do a little bit of what it is, but it's week one. Like people are saying the Cowboys are going to win things because they beat the Giants 40-0. Slow your roll. This is the Dallas that we talk about every single year, right? Talk to me
against
after
the Giants.
Thanksgiving is biggest thing.
Against Daniel Jones. Like, I'm supposed to be impressed. Come on, Daniel Jones.
They gave him all that money. I don't understand it. Never understood that one.
Terrible extension. Terrible. That's the whole 2 first, like, sunken fallacy cost, bro. Like, drafted him. He played. He had a great season. We got to pay him. Like, that's all that was.
Sometimes it's okay not to pay.
It is. It should be. I lied. I have one more question. Only because you brought up the dual threat quarterback thing. I said this in our Discord. This, to me, feels like the perfect game that you call up Jalen Smith and have him on the field. Him being a late signing and him still having like a rejuvenation of his athleticism, because this athleticism wasn't there when he went to the Giants, when he was on the Packers. I don't know if just being out of football for a little bit just helped him get healthy. I don't know how long that athleticism is going to last. But to me, the Panthers don't, in theory, like their receivers don't strike you as much of a threat. I really want to see Marshawn hone in, not let Adam Thielen get the best of him as he's done in the past. Like, if he's going to be a top 3 cornerback in the league, like, he has to be that week to week out. But defensively, you come in with the plan, you can lock up their receivers in theory. And I would just have Jalen Smith be on the field just to, because I just don't want to see Bryce Young and his short self like doing like, and just, I feel like that athleticism.
Doing the Carlton.
Right. But what is it going to take, or how do you see Jalen Smith getting on the field if he does at all? Not just for this game, just for the season, because I feel like he could bring another element to the defense.
Yeah, I mean, he's looked outstanding. I'll tell you that. I mean, he looks just completely different. Just the side of him, I've seen it that I just don't know if I've seen it in his career, right? And just whether it's good vibes, good system. One of the things he did tell us, just to talk about Jalen real quick, this is the first defensive-minded defensive coach he's played for. He's only played for offensive coaches. And so that's one of the reasons that attracted him to New Orleans. Now, for him, he's more the Mike guy, right? And so obviously you have DeMario and stuff. He's got to learn a little bit more of that special team side, I think, to get a little bit more. Like Ryan Connolly just went down. He's got a knee injury, so he's going to miss a good bit of time. So it's a chance for him to potentially get at least used in some of that aspect. They could bring back Ty Summers. But, look, I think he's very athletic. And the thing about it with Carolina is you got to have the speed on the field to be able to do it. And so one of my concerns with the linebacking core is that, Pete and DeMario, no questions, no qualms there. But if they roll out Zach Bond and it's pass coverage, he's been a liability. And I just don't think he has the speed to be able to keep up with somebody like a Bryce Young or something like that. And so I'd rather them play a lot more nickel in this game because Alante has the speed and then some to be able to get whatever he needs to get done. And so I don't know if they're going to run a spy on this game with him or something along that lines. I think it's something that we'll have to see how it plays out. But look, I think Jalen Smith, man, if he can learn a little bit more, I feel good about him getting on the field, but I'm not so convinced that a team's not going to find him and try to pry him away with some of these injuries. Yeah. He might get an opportunity. I was really shocked that he's not on a roster, like a 53-man roster starting for some team or playing for some team right now. It might happen, though.
What's the easiest choice you can make? Window instead of middle seat? Picking a vendor who sends a great gift basket? Outsourcing business tasks you hate? What about selling with Shopify? Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Shopify's there to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell. Wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/try. Go to shopify.com/try now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/try.
Denim is in demand at Plato's Closet in West Ashley and North Charleston. Get cash on the spot for everything denim. Bring in your trendy and classic styles of gently used name brand denim. Get paid for your denim shorts, skirts, jackets, jeans, and more. We're looking for denim that is blue, black, or a bold color, and jeans in styles like mom jeans, bootcut, baggy, flared, and ripped. We want everything denim. Sell your denim for cash at Plato's Closet today. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.
Nah, man. Yeah, you're right. That's the one thing I worry about.
Yeah.
Shoot.
They run that risk.
I mean,
coaching from the practice squad.
I mean, but to be like, if they tried to poach him, he would have the decision of whether he could, in theory, choose not to sign with the team, right? In theory,
it depends. It depends on what the offer is. Some of these other practice squad guys, like, I mean, you look at like a Nico Lalos or Kyle Phillips. If somebody tells you you're getting a game check, I mean, that means a lot for them, I'm sure, and they take the game check, depending on what their thing is. I mean, but now they're in a position because of Peyton Turner being out that I think one of them are going to get the call up for sure. And Saints are going to have 3 roster spots open right now, and they haven't backfilled any of the other 2. And so with Turner presumably going to IR, they got 3 spots to work with. So I'm really interested to see how they're going to attack that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I would say if Legolas, or sorry, that's my nickname for him, gets like
Legolas.
If he gets the call up before Isaiah Foskey, we won't have to have a little conversation, man. That's all I'm saying. Just a tiny one, just a tiny little conversation. Because it would be concerning.
No, I agree. I agree. I think Foskey's got to learn. So the thing about like Turner is he played a lot more special teams. He played in like the field goal block. He played in all those types of things, whether it's protection or punt team or anything like that's the stuff that Foskey has to learn about. Like early on in camp, this guy was kind of MIA. And again, I get it. It's a rookie. Pass rushers, they got to learn quick. They got to learn a lot of things. I think he grew a lot more going into training camp towards the end and preseason. He kind of saw the lights going on for him. Now he's going to be in a position where, assuming they don't bring one of the other guys up, he's going to have to be in that, throw him into the fire a little bit. And so there may be some struggles, some growing pains, but I think the guy has a lot of talent. I saw some people really overreact about it yesterday about him not playing. It's like, I get it. I understand. But, it's just one of those that the way the game plan unfolded, the way things needed, maybe this is a game where he can shine because he's a lot more faster off the edge and can help isolate a guy like a Bryce Young. But again, I think he's going to be somebody that's going to be just fine. But ultimately, they're going to have to figure this thing out. And Lalos or Phillips are probably their 2 prime candidates. I kind of float as like, it might be a worth a call, see what Daniil Hunter is doing and what that price tag might be. But I doubt that's going to happen. Could be. I never know.
Anything else, Ryan, for John?
Nah, man. We held this dude too long.
Well,
you're good. Please. I don't even feel like it's been that long,
right? I mean, that's what happens when you're having fun, man. But we gotta. When we were in New Orleans for the Bears game, please, the invite for you to come to the meetup is fully extended. You and Ross are, already invited.
Everybody would love to have y'all there, man. They'd be so happy.
I love meeting fans, man. I really do.
Bro, we probably gonna have at least 35-ish people and at least 6 or 7 from the UK, bro. Like it's nice. We're gonna have a good ass time. So
nice.
I mean, I'm pretty sure if you're listening to this podcast or watching it, you already followed John Hendrix on Twitter. But please check out his actual work. Check out his write-ups for his games. Like his write-ups for training camp is what I use religiously.
Like a Bible, bro. This was like
religiously,
Bible,
bro. Like, turn to Hendrix chapters. Like, what did
and it was organized so well, so you could go back and be like, what happened in the first week? Let me go back. It was great, man.
It was great, but
and I've tried to, man. Like I was gonna say, and I really try to. Like some people might think it's overload, but I'm like, I want you to feel like you're there. Like I don't think there's any secret of withholding information. Now, if I say my observation are 100% accurate, right, and all that, like I can only go by what I see, the eye test, but I'm charting every damn thing that's out there. I'm going to put it, I pay attention for stuff. Some of these other people just talk the whole time. And then it's like, what are you doing here? Right. And I've come to work and stuff. So it's just, again, in that aspect, nobody's gonna out hustle me on that. Nobody's gonna out grind me on that. I'm just gonna keep doing it.
We love to see, man. Thanks so much for coming on, man. I'm upset that it took us so long to have you on this long, as long as we've been potting. So thank you for coming on. Hope to see you in November at the Bears game. John Hendrix, follow him on Twitter, follow him on Instagram, read his articles on Sports Illustrated. A pleasure, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate
it a lot. Thanks.
And with that, we're out.
Peace.
Denim is in demand at Plato's Closet in West Ashley and North Charleston. Get cash on the spot for everything denim. Bring in your trendy and classic styles of gently used name brand denim. Get paid for your denim shorts, skirts, jackets, jeans, and more. We're looking for denim that is blue, black, or a bold color, and jeans in styles like mom jeans, bootcut, baggy, flared, and ripped. We want everything denim. Sell your denim for cash at Plato's Closet today. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.